All righty. How we doing out there, world? I know we have a lot of folk that's out there right now. How is everybody doing right now? HB is in the house. Welcome to another episode from our home to yours. And so I see we have people on this Zoom here that should not even be on Zoom. How did you guys get the Zoom code? This was not supposed to be for you on Zoom. Y'all sneaking on the Zoom. Anyway, how we doing out there, Facebook? All righty. All right. We've got another beautiful day that's out here. You know, I started to, I went outside last minute and I started to take all of this setup and put it outside.
Oh, and just gorgeous.
And just put it outside. But I already knew what was going to happen is I was going to get in trouble for putting you in the heat because
is it hot outside?
Well, it's sun out there, but I knew I was going to get in trouble. I was going to see when I do good stuff.
We're 30 minutes into the show. You already started.
When I do good stuff, great stuff.
30 seconds,
like brilliant stuff. Anyway, let's get into the show.
When you do brilliant stuff.
When I do brilliant stuff.
Okay.
When I do brilliant stuff, when the brilliance comes out, I get in trouble. So I just want to share with you. I saved myself from getting in trouble. And let me raise this camera just a little bit. As I told you, our budget, we don't have as big of a budget as we for this show right now. We you know, if we get a little bit more people watching the show, our budget will actually increase and we may be able to get some camera people. So right now I have to be the camera setup guy. I'm the microphone guy. I am the show. I'm not the producer anymore. Mark Kithcart is our producer. We did. They gave us enough budget.
You're not gonna take credit for every title?
No, I won't take credit for every title.
Nice. Look at the Lord.
Yep. Mark Kithcart is our producer of the show, and Tunde Brinson is our co-producer. He is our audio producer between our audience and us, I guess, right?
I guess, yeah. So if you want to say that, that's good.
Yes. So welcome, everybody. I know we've got people all around there. Cleveland, Ohio, wherever you're from, let us know in the chat where you're from so we can see where you're from, and we will be ready to get this show actually started. Grand Junction, Colorado.
Oh, wow.
Grand Junction came back. Jason came back, unless there's somebody else from Grand Junction. I remember Grand Junction in the house, but he came back to watch the show. And my wife told me, here's what she told me, by the way. They come to the show to see her.
Oh my God, Holton.
You told me you were the star of the show.
Oh my God.
And everybody comes to see you. Is that not true?
That is not true.
How is it that we're in the same place, in the same household, but we hear two different things? Fellas, does that happen? Like, y'all have the same conversation. You and your wife driving in the car or in home, and y'all have the same conversation. Matter of fact, you brought up the conversation, and then 6 days later, you bring up again what you knew you were going to talk about then, and she says that didn't happen.
I mean, of course, I don't know what to tell you because it's completely not true. I mean, I don't know, maybe we were joking around and I may say that.
Oh, that was a joke.
I mean, maybe if I said it, I really don't remember.
A little jokey joke, huh? Oh, okay, no. She says she is a star of the show. And that's fine. No problem. I know I already have. I have developed some people who like to go in on me. But I had some ladies last week.
True.
I had some ladies last week that was on my side. And so
you had one lady that was on your side, and she misunderstood what was going on.
And she was a brilliant lady. That lady, I knew her. I went and looked her up. I Googled her, and she was a brilliant lady, and she knows what she was talking about. Anyway, again, guys, welcome to From Our Home to Yours. There's been an interesting. She is your star, Holt. Oh, somebody said she's your star. Yes, she is my star. You are my star. So. Okay. But you know, they didn't say she is the star.
Okay, this is not a competition. We're both stars. Okay, can we share the
It's always a competition.
It's not a competition.
It's always competition.
Tell us, no, it is not.
See, I can't even get to the reason we're doing this show right now
Because
I can't even get into the reason we're doing the show.
You want some bullcorn now.
I am not, because you won't tell the truth. It's always competition. Now, all right.
Tell the truth about what?
About what you said. But anyway, it ain't always competition. Ladies, okay. I'm going to tell the people why we do this show in a minute, but I got to hit this point real quick. Okay. She says it's not all about competition. I say it always is about competition, because I know women. I should write a book on women.
You should write a book on women.
I should.
And you're not a woman. Yeah, that's a great.
I should write a book on women, because I watch y'all. We're walking. Here it is, fellas, and the ladies are going to agree with me, fellas. When we are walking, and maybe we're at the mall, you with your wife, your girlfriend, or whatever it may be, and then and she's getting out of the car, and maybe y'all are going to dinner or going to the movie, wherever it is, and she just happens to be a little dressed up, or maybe has on something a little fly, or a cool hat, or a cute pair of shoes, or whatever it is, and you're walking, right? And then oncoming traffic is coming towards you, okay? Oncoming traffic is coming towards you. This guy's putting the Zoom ID on the Zoom. We don't want the people on the Zoom. I'm telling you, right? Anyway, I'm gonna get you. So the incoming traffic is coming, and there's another lady, or 2 or 3 or 4 or 65, and they won't speak, and they'll just do like this.
Hey, that is not true.
Y'all look, y'all stare from the toes, and you're gonna say, women can walk past another woman, and it can be a split-second view. And you know whether her toenails is chipped and they need to be a refill done. You know whether her ankles are ashy. You know whether the soles on her shoes are worn. You know whether the heel needs to be replaced or crooked. You know whether the skirt needs to be hemmed, whether she got the belt in the right place, whether the blouse is in the right place, whether her hair is out or her lipstick is dry. In one split second, because it's all about competition. Y'all are sizing up the competition.
Babe. You have gone on that story for all that time, and it's just not true.
Fellas, am I telling the truth?
It's not true.
Somebody, Christina says that's the ones who are insecure.
Exactly.
I don't think it's just insecure.
I mean, so why does that have to do with competition, honey?
You said it's not about competition.
It's not about competition.
It is about competition.
It's not always about competition.
Y'all say all of that stuff.
I think it's men that are always competing with one another.
Well, we do.
Yeah, exactly. I think. Well, I mean, some women do. We do too, but I don't think it's as frequent as men. That's my opinion.
Okay. Can I be honest?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let me go. I can be real honest.
You need to be honest.
I can be like honest.
Yes, honest.
Like honest.
So all this time you've been lying. That's what you're telling me.
No, can I be honest to the third power?
Yeah, you need to be honest to the third power.
If it's not about competition. Can I repeat like conversations that you have?
We didn't come on here for you to tell all my business.
No, I'm just saying I can't. Can I reveal a conversation?
Why don't you reveal something of yourself?
Well, with me and my boys, we play golf. Guess what? It's about competition.
Yeah.
When we go to the gun range, it's about competition.
Okay.
When we do whatever, it's about competition. I'm admitting that we compete.
Your point was when we get out of the car and we pass another woman that it's about competition. That is not true. I am not going to agree to that.
So, okay. All right. Now, for all of you if this is your first time on the show, I want to go ahead and give you some preface. Let me preface something here, okay? And we just keep it real. We don't have an agenda. We do this show. We started this show maybe about 7 episodes ago, and we're on a roll right now. 2 episodes in a row, we're coming to you without arguing, okay? Without an argument, okay? And last week, she was late to the show. This week, I thought I was gonna have to snatch her out of that chair, that boot in her closet where she gets her hair, makeup done. But she was actually ready, and I was proud of that, and everything was good. But we come on this show, and we said to each other, we're gonna be truthful. We're gonna tell the truth. No agendas, no sales. We ain't coming on here politicking, even though we want to know some of what your thoughts are. But it's just going to be good old fun. We're not coming here to be the educators of what's going on in the world, because we're not experts at what's happening all over the world.
Right.
But number one thing, we say we're going to be authentic and true, and we don't rehearse. Okay, we don't rehearse, and we don't put on acts. It's just how we interact. We've been together 11 years. 11 years. That's the number. And from the hood, 50, everybody knows what 11 is. Tell them what 11 is.
For a long time.
For a long time, okay? 11 years, all right? So now that I've gotten all of that out of the way, and we want to welcome you if this is your first time to the show. If it's your first time in the show, just put first time in the chat, okay? First time in the chat, and hopefully you'll come back after you discover the lies that are told.
Welcome, everybody. Happy Sunday.
Okay, so first time on the show. Selena's first time. Hopefully, Selena, you will stay tuned after I reveal this. And I don't know if it's all women, okay? So now, we know that some women use a term of endearment. So you said I get a chance to be honest to the fourth power.
Right.
Okay. Some women use a term of endearment with and amongst each other.
That's true.
Okay. And that word just happened to be bitch.
That's true.
That's true, right? Now, I don't particularly partake or even understand or agree, but I'm not a woman.
Right. And so you can never use that word.
I don't use that word.
If you're not a woman, you can never use that word. Okay.
I don't use that word.
Okay, good.
Okay. Now,
good.
So
I've trained you well.
I still got a few more classes I need to take. So, but here's what I know. Here's what happens, since it's not about competition.
Okay.
Here's what happens. She will get her hair done or her makeup done. And then here's what happens. And she will, say, for example, she's on the phone with Kim Beaton. As soon as she get her makeup done.
Do not throw Kim Beaton under the bus.
And here's what she will say, if it's Kim Beaton or not. She's looking in the mirror and she'll say, you know what? I'm about to let these bitches have it.
No.
Yep. That's what I'm about to let these bitches have it.
You know what? I'm going to kill you for that.
You said I could be honest.
That's way below the belt. You know what? No. You're wrong for that.
How am I wrong?
You are dead wrong for that.
Ladies, am I wrong for that? She said I can say that.
You are dead wrong for that.
You said.
I mean, it is true, but you are dead wrong for that.
I am not dead wrong. No, I am not.
Tell some of your own stuff. That's what you need to do. Tell some of your own stuff. You don't need to tell all my business.
Well, see, Tina says she don't use that word. You know what? Thank you, Tina. I appreciate that. I don't think that's a term of see. There.
I mean, and I really appreciate that that perspective. I have a much different perspective. But
right. I know you do have a different perspective. Anyway. I
mean, it's not all negative.
Right. So I'm gonna let these bitches have it, but that's competition, right? It's like this.
It's just, it's a way to say, okay, I'm feeling myself right now. That's another way of saying it. I'm feeling myself right now. I'm putting my best foot forward. I've spent all this time getting ready. So, I better get some compliments when I get out this door.
Right. Okay. Well, maybe it's not a word or a term of endearment or whatever it is. And I know some people say it's not a term of endearment, which is great. And I mean, it's to each his own. We understand that.
Yeah, it's a noun, it's a verb, it's an adverb, it's an adjective.
Right.
It can be depending on the use of it, it can be any of those things. Yeah. Okay.
And depending on the relationship that you have with the person or whatever it is.
True.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. All right. But anyway, it's competition. So
it's not competition, honey. It's just because you're saying something like that, you're just saying you're putting your best foot forward. You don't want everybody else. It's not a win or lose. It's just.
I know, but it's still competition.
It's not.
Hold on for a second. If it ain't competition, why not put a foot forward? You just said best foot, which means you're competing with the other foot.
No, you may be competing with your best.
Okay, well, it's competition. I'm not saying it's competition amongst everybody else all the time, but it's competition.
You just need to stop telling my business. That's what you need. Hopefully that's your takeaway.
Okay, so should I on this set here just not be honest? I can't talk about what I feel.
Listen, being transparent and being and lying are two different things. Or being totally upfront. You don't have to share everything.
I'm getting in trouble. Michelle says that was not good for me to expose.
It wasn't. I'm in the privacy of my own bathroom.
I know.
I'm in a judgment-free zone.
Right.
And now you put it out there to be a judgment zone.
So now you're going to be judged?
Yeah, I think so.
But you don't care about being judged.
Well, that's true. I don't. But I mean, what if I did?
But you don't.
But what if I did, though? I used to.
You used to care? Okay.
I did used to care. It was really important to me.
Okay. All right. Anyway, but we have a lot of fun with it. You know, when she's, you know, it's just one of those things, but it's competition. I know it is. And so when she just said she's the star of the show. So anyway.
It was a joke, people. We all know every week after week, he comes here and he does the most talking for 45 minutes. And maybe I talk 12 to 15 minutes.
Okay.
Out of an hour.
Well, here's what we're going to do then. I'm going to shut up today, and it's your show.
No.
I'm going to respond.
Sir,
huh?
I don't, it doesn't matter to me because I'm good with playing my role. But you try to make it seem like I come over here and I just keep talking and won't shut up. I don't have no problem with it.
I'm in trouble. Linda said, I agree. You don't have to share everything. See, that's the problem with the world today. That's the problem with the world today. Everybody want to be transparent and honest, except this. I'm gonna be transparent. I'm gonna keep it real.
No, there is a time and a place for everything.
And the time is right now, and the place is in our living room.
No, you just, so when you want to be honest and transparent, you make sure it's your own business you're talking about. You can share as many things about yourself as you want to share. But when you talk about my business, I think you need to be a little bit considerate.
You know what? You're absolutely right. So let me refrain how I should have done that. And
let you refrain.
Yeah. Well, let me rephrase. Let me do that again.
Okay. You want to do over?
Yeah, I want to do over.
Okay.
Do I deserve a do over?
Yeah, I'll give you a do over.
Okay. So, welcome to From Our Home to Yours. And as we were talking about competition, I want to share some things that I kind of overheard in my bathroom. And, sometimes I'm in the shower and I got a pretty nice size shower, so it echoes and I can hear a whole lot of stuff that takes place. And normally I'm home and I'm by myself. Sometimes I'm home and there's one other person in the house. And I will hear I will hear these words. I'm gonna let these bitches have it. And I was just wondering where that would come from. It came from a voice that was in my house. But I just want to tell you how I was impacted by those words. I look around and I'm looking for the other competitors and I don't see them. See, I didn't even put you in that story.
Holton, whatever. Go on to the next point, because you failed this test.
She is not in the story, right? You're not in the story.
No, baby. You just, my thing is, when you are wanting to be, if the goal is being transparent and honest, that's okay. You just stick to your own facts, your personal facts. That's what you have a right to be transparent and honest about, not other people's stuff.
Okay. So don't be, so I keep, just talk about me.
Yeah, just talk about yourself and we're good.
And we're good.
Yeah.
Okay, so don't give me the green light to be real honest.
No, I have no problem with you being honest.
Okay, all right.
You just could have told us a story to expose something about yourself. How about that? Think of something you can expose of yourself.
Like what? I'm honest, so I ain't got nothing to expose.
You're honest.
Yeah. I'm honest. Anyway, there has been a lot of interesting things in the Bugs household this week here. We've had very interesting week in the Bugs household. It's always interesting, and it's not like there's something that's just new. But I want you to just talk to the people today. Like I said, we don't come with an agenda, but we do want to know some things about you guys. I know that this week here is they're relaxing standards on social physical distancing and going out. And Houston, it seems like it's the Super Bowl here right now because the traffic in H-Town is at an all-time high.
Is it?
Yeah, it is. Yep. That's why, Dorena, that's why I'm changing subjects, because I'm in trouble. So I already know I'm going to get it after this show. So if I don't come on the next show, it's because
you got fired.
I got fired. Or she poured this coffee on my on my lap or something.
I'm actually drinking tea.
Oh, tea. I'm drinking coffee then. Okay, good. So anyway, anything interesting that you want to share?
Well, let's talk about, because I know last week we had a couple of questions that we didn't get to, and some people even DM'd me. We were talking about fair fight rules, so I'd be very interested in knowing if any of our listeners have had an opportunity to put the fair fight rules into play, and if so, how did it work for you? The other thing is, we talked about bringing up the past. We talked about history. Remember? And you had a really big issue about that, because I felt that there is an exception when there is a case where a pattern needs to be established. So I was wondering, if you are not allowed to bring up the past, how do you then establish a pattern in a healthy way?
How do you establish a pattern?
Yes, because I think a pattern is relevant when it comes to behavior. And I say that because when you have an issue in a relationship and it's a first demeanor, which means we're making up words here, but that's okay. I do it all the time. A first demeanor is a first offense. When you do it a second time, a third time, and a fourth time, and enough where I've lost count, you're a serial offender. So I think it is important when you are having a conversation, how you would go about resolving an issue with a serial offender, in my opinion, is not the same for a person who only committed a first demeanor.
Y'all want to know the truth?
Yeah, I want to know the truth. That's why we're bringing this up.
Okay.
We want clarity. Many of us want to understand how relevant is a pattern.
But there's nobody who asked that question.
Yeah, they asked it last week, honey. I got text messages.
And we ran out of time.
And DMs. Yeah, it was in.
But nobody asked me that question.
Sir.
I didn't get any text messages or DMs. My assistant, producer of the show.
We want to know your opinion on how to address a
pattern. I already know why she wants me to bring this up.
Why?
Because we had a big debate in the household right over there in our kitchen.
Yeah, and you said I was giving you anxiety.
You were giving me anxiety.
How can I give you anxiety over a question, Holton?
Because, all right, see, here's what happens, ladies and gentlemen. Last week, we put up the fair fight rules, okay? And we went over all 10 fair fight rules. Now, so that you know how we established those, we each had a chance to write 5 rules. We were able to bring 5 rules of our own to the table. She brought 5, I brought 5, and that's how the 10 fair fight rules came about. Rule number 10, do y'all know who wrote rule number 10, that you can't bring up the past?
Usually the person who is afraid of the past. That's usually the person with the pattern. So
here's the thing. Why would I want to go in and renegotiate my rule? That rule was written to protect me.
To protect you from what?
From you.
Are you serious right
Yes.
now? You need protection from
Yes, I need protection from you.
You know what?
Yes, because you were going to attack my past. And this is what you did. Do you remember in the 3rd grade? And I don't want to remember. I don't want to keep remembering that.
Okay, so the question on the table, sir, is, since that is not the appropriate way to bring up or to shed light on a pattern, I am asking you, Mr. CEO, Mr. Brilliant One, what is an appropriate way to shed light on a pattern?
I appreciate you addressing me as the CEO.
No.
And that normally means the chief executive officer.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Person who has final decisions on matters.
Yeah, that would be you.
That would be me?
Yeah, right after me.
Right. So that would be me. Well, good. I appreciate that. And y'all have heard it. So I'm using my executive powers to not answer that question, and we will move on to the next one. And I want my rule to stay. I need protection. Y'all don't have any idea what I have to deal with when ain't nobody in this house but me and her fury comes down upon thee. My anxiety is at an all-time high, and she's going to get me about what I did in the 8th grade. You know what? I want to bring this one up, and I know we're going to address that. But I'm going to tell you a topic I want to talk about.
But how are you gonna skip all over my topic and go to a topic you want to talk about.
Fellas, let me ask you a question. Let me give y'all an example of why I want this, why I put that rule in place. Okay.
Let's hear this.
So, my wife, this beautiful one over here. Fellas, have you ever been like anywhere, like having a great time? Mood is great. Everybody's happy. No anxiety. The weather's perfect. The birds are chirping. Sounds are crystal clear. There's laughter, joy, and pleasantries in the air. You are enjoying the movie. And all of a sudden, there's a scene in the movie that takes place on the screen in the movie that you nor her are starring in, and she looks at you and she said, you just tried. You just tried. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Something that happens in the movie and I'm in trouble because what he did in the movie, and this is why I don't like going to the movies sometimes. This is why, you know what, I want to watch cartoons because I can't get in trouble. Fellas, I need to know, fellas, does that happen? Do you see what I'm saying? Do you get in trouble? Here's the thing. Listen, we watching a movie. She got like fire engine red because long time ago, I had a girlfriend and it was something on TV about baby mamas and I couldn't even finish the movie and you could have had kids by her and I could be having some little kids. I don't want no kids coming to my door that's 25 years old saying, I'm your son. And she went on and on. This stuff is happening on the movie, on the TV screen. And I'm sitting up there and I'm like, can I watch the movie? Do you see why I don't like bringing up the past? This is why I put that rule in place.
No, that's not the only reason you put the rule in place.
Look, these people saying they get in trouble. Timothy George, Dwayne Grit. See, my fellas are coming with it now. Yes. See, I was wondering, Raul says, Raul, do you get in trouble? Yep. Look at that. Sam B says it happens I thought I was the only one dealing with, cinematic drama in my house.
That is not why you don't want to deal with the past, but that's okay. What do you want to talk about, sir? Since you don't want to answer my question.
So Lisa says, walk away slowly. So Lisa, should I just get up and walk away from the movie and just leave her? No.
Look, I could have been dealing with some baby mama drama.
But you weren't.
I mean, I know I'm not, but I could have been. I could have been. So I'm pissed.
This is how it goes. Just like that. It's like she's pissed in the present because she could have been dealing with baby mama drama.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, if you hadn't done what you did, I mean, yeah, I wouldn't even have a thought. So the past is relevant.
So do y'all see why I don't like, this is why I want to protect my rule. I wrote that in the Constitution.
Okay, sir.
So all right, so here's the thing. How do you deal with it? Mm-hmm. If something happens in the past, my question is this, what is the relevance? Because as I told her at dinner, because somebody put something in the chat that Earlene she would have been a great lawyer. Why did you do that? And so now,
oh, they did that because I can argue, and I can argue both sides of any case, honey.
Now I'm over here dealing with Janisha Cochran, Janisha Cochran over here. And so now she is grilling me saying that, here's what she's doing. She's grilling me and she's talking about establishing a pattern of behavior, but the fair fight rules weren't designed to determine guilt or innocence. It was determined to fight fairly.
No, to communicate properly.
To communicate and to resolve conflict.
Yes, but but in order to resolve conflict, a lot of times, you have to establish a pattern.
What? Okay, let's establish a forward pattern of what I'm going to do. And I'm going to develop a new pattern of good behavior.
Well, you need to develop a new pattern of not talking my business in the street. That's what you need to develop a new pattern on. So maybe you can work on that for next week.
Well, I asked your permission.
But you didn't ask me my permission to. I didn't know what you was gonna say.
Well, you should have gave me permission.
Well, I mean,
so now you took the permission back.
Yeah.
After I put it out there.
Yeah, permission denied.
Okay. Just like what happens over here in my house. Anyway.
Okay, so what else do you want to bring up, honey?
No, I mean, is my point valid on that? Or do you have anything else to say? I want to know what our folk have to say here. I'm waiting for some.
I mean, yeah, sure. I mean, okay, your thoughts are always valid. I'm not trying to say it's not valid. I'm just saying that sometimes a pattern is relevant. It's part of, it just means that if we continue to have the same issue over and over again, number one, obviously we're not resolving anything. And number two, like I said, if you commit a first demeanor, the punishment is different.
Right.
So if I am having to talk to you over and over again about the same thing, the punishment is more severe. You commit a felony. Some states have the third time felony rule is 25 years to life.
See, now I'm a felon.
I mean, I'm just saying. I'm just trying to educate you, okay?
Yeah.
Because you seem to think that this is not an issue, but it is an issue when you keep doing the same thing over and over again. It's a big issue.
But do y'all see what I'm talking about? Do you see why I needed the rule? That's what I'm serious, guys. I needed this.
You need a rule because you want to escape punishment. That's why you need the rule.
No.
So if I can't establish a pattern, maybe I'm judging you like it's a first demeanor when really it's a 14th demeanor. You should never get out of prison. Look, if I could lock you up for turning the lights on around here and not turning them off, you would never get out of jail. So I'm just saying. We can move on though.
But no, okay. I want to know what the people have to say. If they want to talk about it, they can talk about it.
Did we get any questions yet?
Tuna, do we have any questions? Mark, do we have any questions? All right. Jolanda George, why are you putting them over there to her? Oh, Lord. So you got her back. I just read that text. I got good. Let me tell you why.
I'm sorry. He was eavesdropping on my text.
Jolanda, let me tell you why. Let me tell you why.
Hustling, Jolanda.
Let me tell you why I can read her text. Because her letters are so big on her text message. It's like one letter per on the screen. Because she's not wearing her glasses.
I can't see, so.
That's why, okay? Jolanda George just says, unleash. We got your back, girl. Unleash?
Yes, unleash.
Unleash?
Unleash.
On me?
Yes, on you.
Oh my, I get to really see how y'all are anyway. All right, I think I got some questions coming in here. Let's see here. Mark says no questions. I'm looking for Tunde. Did Tunde say any questions coming in right? Tunde's typing a question right now. What is the most thoughtful thing HB has ever done for you? I got some other stuff we're going to talk about. We'll take some questions in the intro. What's the most thoughtful thing HB's ever done for you?
Well, this list is pretty long. Okay. Most thoughtful. Well, he often brings me breakfast in bed. That's pretty thoughtful. He bought me a bike once, and I just thought that was the best gift ever. Remember that bike you bought me? Because I wanted to start riding a bike again, and you bought me a bike. Mm-hmm. Thoughtful. Oh, remember when my ring got stolen and you bought me a new ring? Mm-hmm. I mean, you really surprised me. You really went through all this stuff and presented on stage and all that. So that was really thoughtful. It was not about necessarily the size of the ring, but you went through a lot of trouble to make sure that, because I was so sad about it. Mm-hmm. And I've had, certain events, and you've flown my family and my friends in, for my birthdays or for my luncheons. I mean, he's a pretty thoughtful guy. So the list goes on and on.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I appreciate that.
You do?
Yeah, I really do. Okay. Thanks for that question. Nobody asked that. I just wanted to ask.
Oh my God, Holton. You know what? I take everything.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. It's right there. Okay. What is the most thoughtful thing HB's ever done for you? Okay. Should there be a consequence for breaking the fair fight rules? Okay. So, should there be consequence? I want you to know. I want you to answer that.
Okay, well, yes and no. I'd say no, because the whole point is to learn how to communicate properly. So when you think about reward and punishment, that's kind of negative. That's a negative thing. So I think the challenge should be how good can we be together? I think that we finally got there in our relationship, that it's not him against me, it's us against the issue. And I think sometimes your ego and your pride can get the best of you, and you just want to be right. And you want to prove your point and prove somebody else wrong, and then you get all off track. Right. So sometimes the consequence has to be silence, because when you and this is a really great point too, because I think that there are times when I am going back and forth in an argument with someone or a disagreement with someone, and it just clicks for me that sometimes the fair fight rules don't work, not because they're not effective, but because you're talking to the wrong person. And and what I mean by wrong person, sometimes your philosophies in life and your principles and your values just don't line up. And no amount of rules or structure is going to change a person's heart or their mentality. So I think that, that's something to consider when there is no respect for the rules, that deems them null and void, just virtually ineffective. And, but I was very transparent when we first brought this up, and we talked about how you're not going to always get it right. You're human. You're going to mess up. You're going to get off track. But the fair fight rules are a foundation for you to be able to find your way back. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if you have anything else to add to that.
Yeah, see, here's one of the issues that I have is when you have to implement consequences, you are engaging with the person who's not ready. I won't say it's necessarily not the right person, because it could be your spouse. And Earlene brought up throughout the week, she says, I'd love to be able to share with people adjusted rules, fair fight rules for relationships and for different areas. And we'll talk about that at some time, right? But consequences, you don't want to invoke consequences in your relationship. And one of the reasons is at that moment, when you invoke consequences, you're putting yourself as a superior mate. I'm here, you are here. Okay. When my son does something when he was living in the house, there was consequences. Why? Because I'm here as the parent. Here, this is where you are in terms of authority, not as a person. As a person, we're equal, but from an authority standpoint. And so he doesn't have the right to invoke consequences on me, but I had the right to invoke consequences on him. When, as a owner of companies, if I have an employee who does something and breaks our rules, I have the right to invoke consequences on them, whatever that may be, but not vice versa, okay? And so in a marriage or in a relationship, when you say it's 100-100, not 50-50, 100, you bring 100% of you, they bring 100% of them, you're now equal. Now, there is a leader, okay? There is a leader. I'm the leader of my household. That doesn't make me the authoritarian, that I now have the ability to invoke consequences on her. I am just the leader because in a house or in a situation or a business or a vision, when there's multiple leaders or when there's more than one head, it becomes a monster. And it goes in a direction that really has no destination whatsoever. And so don't put it in the form of consequences whatsoever. Let's look at reinforcing the behavior that you want. And again, use the rules to explain to the other party how you feel about them not using the standards that you guys agreed upon. And you allow them to come to their senses and allow them to come to understand, but don't use anger, don't use the rules. I'm telling you, those rules are what I call set of expectations. Those fair fight rules work, not just when you're agreeing to be together, they work. What are your thoughts?
Well, I have a different perspective. I absolutely think that there are times when there needs to be a consequence for bad behavior.
Well, bad behavior, they said breaking one of the rules. That was a question for breaking one of these rules here.
Well, I mean, that's the same thing. So, okay, so for instance, one of the, the whole premise is for you to, maintain respect and, a modest tone where you're being kind and respectful throughout the communication. So if you are frequently being disrespected by someone in a way that you don't want to accept, I think a consequence can be just disengagement. Because for me, when I get to a point where I feel like I've made up in my mind that someone is not worth the fight, I just disengage.
Okay, but now here's the thing. Consequences are something that you impose upon another person. Mm-hmm. Taking an action is not necessarily imposing something against someone. It's your action that you're deciding to take. So if you decide to disengage, it's not necessarily a consequence. Mm-hmm. It's here's my choice that I'm making. Mm-hmm. Okay. And so that's why I say, I think when I say there's going to be, like Eddie Murphy said, there's going to be consequences and repercussions. He's saying this is what's going to happen to you.
To you for doing this. Okay, right. That's, and you know what? I love what you said because, sometimes I feel too, we have a disagreement or a misunderstanding between two people because we have a differing definition. Our definitions of a certain thing is not the same. So sometimes, it matters to define things, to give a definition because everything doesn't mean the same thing to every person. And then once you said that, it gave me a different perspective. Okay, well, maybe my definition is off here, or we can find a way to be able to make find a median if we can define things in a proper context.
That's true.
Yeah.
I think there's a good question I just read on here. I think we should hit this one here. I'm going to get to this. I want to skip to this one and maybe I'll come back to some of the other ones.
Okay.
Here's a question here that was really, really good, I think. Okay. It said, why do you need rules after all these years? Is there anything you can't work through? I don't know if those are two separate questions, but why do you need rules after all these years? You want to take that or you want me to take it?
Well, we need rules after all these years because you some lessons it took you 30 years to learn. So I mean, so you don't learn them.
I thought you were gonna say something profound.
That's not profound.
No, that's not profound.
Yeah, I'm still training you. So if I just abandon the rules, I mean, what am I gonna do?
That's not the answer she's looking for. Or he's looking for. This is anyway. Do you see why we need rules?
No. On a serious note, you need the same reason why you need traffic rules and traffic laws after all my brain. Oh, was I see? Look, we're good for each other. Huh?
Yeah, I just Bluetoothed that to you. Airdropped it.
Well, go ahead. You can explain it then.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, I feel like rules. Some people feel like rules are a 4-letter word. I feel like rules are instituted.
I do.
This one because, he's a dreamer and very spontaneous and, very artistic in nature. And I, on the other hand, I am a rule follower. I'm very analytical and, I need structure to feel safe and to be happy. So, it's been a challenge between the two of us just trying to understand how to complement each other and how to be accepting of each other. And so for me, I feel like rules keep the relationship safe. They protect the relationship. As long as we can be upfront and honest about what our expectations are and have an agreed upon method of behavior, I think that keeps the relationship safe. Because if you don't make up your mind what type of relationship you want, you will look up one day and you'll be living a whole life you didn't agree to live. So I think that is a really big thing. I've had to come to that understanding in my life several times in my relationships. Like, this is not the type of relationship I want. I want a relationship that is first and foremost honest and direct, but also loyal. Loyalty is one of the things that means so much to me when it comes to people who are in my close my close circle, but also respect, because I feel like in a certain in a certain way, I've earned respect, and my friends who are really close, they have too, and they deserve that respect and consideration from me.
Yeah. Well, I think that's great. Let me give you my thoughts on it. The person who asked that question, you're probably like me. And let's talk about verbiage.
Okay.
Because verbiage is important.
It is.
When you hear rules, you may hear what I hear. I hear restrictions. Uh-oh, they clip my wings. I've got restrictions. I can't do this. I can't do that. Here are the rules. What if I told you, I want you to replace the word rules? No, for expectations. Okay? So the fair fight expectations. Here's what I expect from you when we fight. It's not a rule, it's just an expectation. Okay?
That's good. I like that.
And so now it softens the attack, or it softens it, but you've got to have a set of guidelines or expectations or rules, whatever word you want to use for it, because we're human.
Right.
And this is a part of life. And I want you to imagine when you set a relationship, your relationship starts at a certain point, and you've got a goal for your relationship to get to another point. And you've got multiple goals within the lifespan of your marriage or relationship. And for example, you may say, hey, here's where we are now. When we reach the age of 45 or whatever, then this is what I would love for us to have accomplished. I want us to have a house, 2 kids. I want us to make sure that we put our kids through private school. I want to do this. I want to do this for our parents. I want to go on these vacations. Here are your goals. This is your goal. Now, when you back up, if you don't have any expectations for activity upon getting there, you will never get there.
Right.
Because feelings take over in a relationship. It has nothing to do with how long you've been together. This is why we've been together so long. Okay? Because some people think that you're going to stay together because of how you feel. No, your feelings are going to change. There's been times she couldn't stand me. There's been times that I couldn't stand her in terms of how I felt. But it was because of our expectations that we had set in our relationship. We had those things to fall back on. There's no difference between why is there such thing as a Bible or a Quran or all of these other scriptural things, because they knew that we were going to get into our feelings, and this is how you stay on track. So if you've got a goal for your relationship, no different than a pilot has a goal for the destination, would you want a pilot who's been flying for 30 years to now fly on feelings versus fly based on instrumentation, based on going through the proper protocol of what they're supposed to do on the checklist? Maybe that pilot now has been so used to it that he just forgets, you know what, let me check this, let me check altitude. No, I'm going to make sure that there are no mistakes. And that's the reason that you want to have guidelines. It's not to take away your freedom. It is to say, here is how we're going to resolve conflict. It's our Constitution. America, I live in America. There are rules and there are laws and there are guidelines as to how behavior is to be conducted. When you go to court, there's expectations for how you conduct yourself and how both attorneys will engage in presenting their argument. And so expectations are all around successful events. You find an event that doesn't have expectations around, you'll find one that doesn't last long or one that's not successful.
Now we don't necessarily have the rules out anymore. We don't start with the compliments. I mean, we may sandwich sometimes, and a sandwich is, you give a compliment before a criticism or a critique of some sort, and then you give a compliment after. There are different techniques that you can use in communication. I think we've been practicing it enough where it's not so structured, but we still do live within those guidelines. There's a lot of respect in how we communicate with one another.
Okay. Now, somebody else said they want us to publish the fair fight rules. We'll do that. We'll make sure we, Mark, if you can put it up at the end of this broadcast here and just kind of scroll through it. Somebody asked, why do you need protection from someone that loves you? Well, here's what I want you to know. If you're watching this broadcast and if you don't see the love that we have, you're probably taking the words too serious versus looking at the actions. Okay. We joke a lot. We can say almost anything to one another. And so protection is, you know, I guess for you was a strong word to probably made you think that she's going to do some harm to me. No, it's all in love. It's all in fun. You know, don't take us too serious. I mean, now you can tell when we get serious about something. We joke a lot and there's seriousness in our jokes. But this is just who we are. Okay. But I don't need protection from her. I wrote that rule because here is how I wanted to defend how I was feeling. The reason that each one of us had 5 things to bring, because there were certain things that were important to her that she didn't want violated throughout the engagement of conflict resolution. There were 5 things that I wanted that I didn't want violated throughout conflict resolution. And rule number 10 was one of the ones that I put in place because I felt that we go back down memory lane so often. And I didn't think it was productive. So I put it in for that reason, not for physical or like she's going to abuse me or anything of that nature. But, you know, I think if you probably watch a little bit more of the shows, they're all recorded on the ibuumerang Facebook. I think you'll see how we interact with one another and that she's not afraid of me and I'm no longer afraid of her.
Okay, so let me, I have a little bit of a different perspective. Absolutely, we do need protection from the people that we love because sometimes those are the people who hurt us the most. And I mean,
but she asked me.
You specifically?
Yeah, why do you need protection from someone that loves you? You.
Oh, you. Okay, well.
But you can share your perspective.
I mean, that I just feel like the people who are the closest to us are the ones that can hurt us the most. And I think,
true. And I want you to hit this.
We have to be cognizant of the fact that we each deal with our own emotional triggers. So for him, when I'm bringing up the past and different things, it's an emotional trigger. So to have a rule like that or a guideline like that, it's just in protection of the relationship and in protection of the communication. Because if we both get in our feelings, mm-hmm. and we start saying a bunch of things we don't mean because emotions are high. And when your emotions are high, you don't make the best decisions when it comes to the things that you say. You know, I think that, you know, that has the ability to irreversibly damage the relationship. So I hope that you can understand that, no, the people that love us, those are the ones that hurt us. They don't always do it intentionally, but they know your hot buttons. They know your emotional triggers, you know, and they're able to push those emotional triggers when there is not a lot of maturity there and a lot of understanding of how it hurts you, how it hurts your feelings, how it maybe takes you back to a painful memory that you might have. So, you know, we do have to be mindful of that.
Yeah, we do.
Only the people you love can hurt you.
That is true. Well, it's easier for the people who love you,
okay.
You know, to hurt you, and the ones who know you, who are able to hurt you, because you're most vulnerable to those. You don't have a guard up, you know. Just to be candid, you know, we don't care what people around the world say about us. We've learned that the higher you go, the more stones that get thrown at you, and people throw shade and stuff like that. In the beginning, a long time ago, I used to wonder, why would people say stuff like that? And why would they, you know, and blah, 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 and all this kind of crazy stuff. And I've been called all kind of things, scam artist. I've been called, you know, a cult leader. I've been called all kind of stuff, that I take people's money. and stuff like that. And that it used to, but those people who don't know me, and those are the people who have no idea, because most people will judge what they see on the outside and never do enough investigation close enough on the inside to find out what the real story is and how things really are. But people who are close to you, those are the ones who know your weak points. Those are the ones who know, just your soft spots. And sometimes they go there. We go there. Sometimes we just do. We just go for the jugular. And because if I want to win the argument, let me go here. Because I'm losing this battle right now, let me go here and let me say this, because I know this is going to shut her up, or this is going to shut him up. And we go too far. And so I guess in a sense you're right. But me personally, it's not that I needed protection as much. It's just that I wanted the things that I brought to the conversation to be, those guidelines to be protected, but anyway, somebody had a good question on here, and I was looking at it. If somebody, all right, boy, some good questions on here right now. Somebody said, I'm looking for this question. She said something about how far, all right, when is it considered the past if your partner recently did something hurtful? When do you call it the past?
That was your law, so I don't have a problem with the past.
Okay, so it's if something recent, it's not the past. It is recent. I call it the past when you have come together in an agreement to resolve what has happened, and you're now going to recondition the behavior to move forward. And you have been, or the other person have been forgiven. If you have forgiven them for it, and you guys have agreed on the forgiveness, and you've agreed on what efforts you're going to put forward, moving forward, it now becomes the past. No matter how recent it was, or no matter how long ago it was. If he did something or she did something 6 years ago and you haven't forgiven, y'all haven't come to an agreement on it, it's not the past. It's still relevant.
Okay, so you're forgiven for a certain thing that happened 6 years ago or 16 years ago or 50 years ago, I don't know.
Right.
And then you do the same thing again.
Yeah, right. Okay, so now I can talk about what you've done,
but I can't bring up the thing you did.
You could see. My issue was not bringing it up. My issue was using the past as a weapon to win the current argument.
Okay, but explain that, because her question was about how long is something the past. So
I can't resolve. We've already resolved what we did, what I did in the past. We've already resolved that in the past. Now, the behavior is very similar, or you utilize something completely different, but maybe in the same context, and we're utilizing the past to justify our feelings for right now. I think that is incorrect. That's why law number 10 exists. So let's deal with what we have here in the current at that moment, because we've already resolved that one.
Yeah, you resolved it, but you're back here again.
Right, but it's still resolved. It is when I go, it's something, you want to talk about court? If I have something expunged from my record, and now I go back into court, the opposing lawyer cannot bring up what was expunged from my record.
Yeah, well, I mean, in that case, you're a first demeanor. So
okay, that's what I'm talking about.
Because only first demeanor is first offenses can be expunged. So it's gone from a record. So that's good. Okay. But how long is the past?
How long is the past? The past is as long as you want it to be.
As long as it takes to resolve the issue.
As long as it takes to resolve the issue. Okay. Several requests for the Fair Fight rules. When do you need protection? Okay. What is the harm in women doing silent treatment? I want you to share that one.
What is the harm?
What is the harm in a woman doing silent treatment?
Well, there's a lot of harm. I mean, and I I feel like I can talk about this because I'm a master at this. I'm not proud of it, but you know, this is the thing I have to meditate about because there's several things. Okay, so first of all, with me, I was always instituting. I would shut down emotionally if I didn't feel heard and I didn't feel understood, or if I felt disrespected or betrayed. To me, those are emotional triggers for me. And maybe another episode we can talk about why. Mm-hmm. But those are things that make me shut down emotionally. So the issue with that is once you shut down, nothing is getting in, but nothing will get out either. You won't find a resolution unless you're willing to be open and honest. So you don't get what you need. The other person doesn't get what they need. So you're at a standstill and you're not able to move forward. And so if you just put a Band-Aid on it and move on, it's still a sore. At some point, it's going to resurface and you're going to have this, it's going to be a cycle because you never really resolved anything. So silent treatment just it's just not effective, you know, and I think that, however, I'd rather see you be silent than to say the wrong thing. It's much better not to say anything than to say the wrong thing. So, you know, I would say that. And then the other thing is silent treatment in a marriage or in a relationship where you got to deal with someone on a regular basis or every day, if you will. It just makes the energy in the home or the workplace or wherever it is, it just makes the energy bad. So it's not ideal because now something that only affected 2 people has now extended and now it's affecting everybody in the room. So those are just some of the things that I could think of right off.
Baby, we are out of time, but I got one more question Mark wants me to get to, and I think we should answer this question. Last question, ladies and gentlemen, then we are out of here. This is a very important question. This question is addressed to you, so you get the last word on it. I have nothing to say, and we will close it out after this question. But
you don't want to respond to the negative effects of,
I thought you did a great job on that one, and we are out of time. Okay. And I can't go past the time so let me get to it. The question is, Mrs. Bugs, how did you know to stick with Mr. Bugs through home foreclosure, car repossession, etc.? When on the journey to success, many couples broke up due to the struggle on their journey to success.
How did I know to stick with him? Well, that's the sort of the whole point of getting married and forming a covenant with someone. It's commitment. I'll be honest with you. There were a lot of times I didn't think we would make it. I've even fell out of love a couple times, and that's the truth of it. But I'm going to tell you what, in any kind of relationship that is going to last a long time and be a successful and a loving relationship, one that is going to be an example for other people, you're going to have your ups and downs. Marriage is outside of being a mother or a single parent, or a parent or a single parent. It is the toughest thing in the world you'll ever do if you're going to be successful at it. And even when you're not successful, it's hard still. And I felt that Holton was always worth the fight. So see, when you marry the right person, regardless as to what you're challenged with, and you realize that this person is good for you, they make you better. They love you unconditionally. They support you, protect you and cover you and take care of you. Those are all things that make them worth the fight. So I think that it's tragic when people give up too soon when they are with someone that provides so many other things, because we can get fixated on one issue. Okay, maybe they lied, maybe they cheated. I don't know what, I'm just saying, for example. And that is only a small part of what a person can do being unfaithful. But there's a whole lot of other things that make up a successful relationship. So people make mistakes. We're not human. We're all human. And I feel like, for Holton, it's, we've gone through a lot of things, but I've always felt like he was worth this fight, and I'm hoping you thought I was worth the fight too.
I know you were worth the fight. I'll cap it up by saying this here. Everybody, well, not everybody, but the majority of the people will take a private jet with you. I was looking for somebody who would walk or ride the bus with me.
Okay.
And that's right. and so when people see how I spoil my wife, it's not out of materialism. Materialism, I always say, materialism starts where a person can't afford something. As soon as it's above their means, it must be materialistic. So I don't get caught up in all of that stuff that people say. But it's I don't want to call it a reward, but it's my, hey, listen, we said for better or for worse. Well, if it was already worse, let me make this thing better. It didn't say we're going to stick together through better or the same. So now I'm going to keep it the same. No, my job is to get it better. And I've always said it's her job to dream. It's my job to go out there and make it happen. And so why? Because when we didn't have anything, when I would send her, to Walgreens and get a perm kit and say, go ahead and do your own hair. This is why, people freaking out about what's going on now and stuff like that. I'm not going to say it's really been a breeze for us. No nails. Yeah, we get on. She talks about that, but guys, we're used to doing our own hair. I cut my hair every Sunday right before this show. We just could afford the things now, but if something happened and we had to be back doing what we're doing, she had to be back doing her own hair and whatever it is, the world's not going to end for us. Why? We've been through that already. I already know she can go through that with me. And so my job now is to make sure that she doesn't have to go revisit that, and we keep on moving towards the future. So I wish I could talk longer. I've taken more of your time than I asked for. Thank you guys for showing up again on another episode from our home to yours. Here's what we'd love for you to do next Sunday. Invite somebody, invite your parents, invite your friends, and let them know, hey, come on to the show. We're going to get to some cool stuff. I'm going to be talking at some point about money, finances, because it's just been on my heart to talk about that as well. I call it how to manage a dollar. What to do with the dollar. I'm sorry. I teach a course called What to Do with a Dollar. We're going to be doing that at some point in time, maybe next week or whatever. I just thought of it. And we'll give you some ideas of what we're going to do with this particular show that we're having every Sunday right now. But we thankful for each and every one of you chiming in. We love your comments. We on this call, we're not looking for agreement. We just want to know what you know and want to know what your thoughts are. And some of you are going to agree and some of you are going to disagree. That's what makes it a great show. You don't have to agree with us. You don't have to agree with how we interact or whatever it is or what we say. Your opinion is valid to you, and that's the only one that you should be caring about right now is your opinion and your loved one. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, have an incredible, safe weekend. Stay safe, stay strong, stay smart, and we love you guys.
Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday. Bye-bye.